Hello, boys and girls. This is Mrs. Juan Gervasio, and today we're going to be covering lesson 1.4, multiplying integers. Don't forget our setup for our notes. You need to have the lesson number 1.4, the title of our lesson, which is multiplying integers, and today's date. Okay, let's go ahead and begin. As a reminder as well, don't forget to get full credit for your notes. You need to make sure you copy down everything that's in our video for our notes. Okay, so I'm going to go ahead and start off with some key ideas that the book has. We're talking about multiplying integers today, and there is just two rules you need to remember. When you're multiplying integers with the same signs, it says here, the product of two integers with the same sign, the answer will be positive. Let me go ahead and highlight some of those key points for you. Same signs, you will have a positive. So I have here 2 times 3. A positive times a positive gives you a positive. So I'll put positive here. Now if you have a negative times a negative, same signs, you get also a positive. So when you have the same signs, your answer will be positive. Now if you have different signs, then your answer is going to be a negative. So I have here different signs, your answer will be negative. So I have a positive times a negative, so positive times a negative, your answer will be a negative. If you have a negative times a positive, your answer will still be a negative. When they're different, you will have a negative answer. So this is one definition or key idea that you can copy. Now, if you don't like this version, I will allow you to copy down this version for your notes. It's the same thing that we talked about up here, but except it's just summarized in short term for you. So I have here, it says in multiplication, same signs, positive answer. So same equals positive. Same equals positive. If you have different signs, negative. So positive times a negative is a negative. Same thing, and I forgot to mention here, if you have a negative times a positive, you will also get a negative. If they're different, you have a negative answer. If they're the same, you have a positive answer. So make sure you copy down either the key idea at the top from the book or my short version down here. Okay? Make sure you also get it memorized because it's going to be very important for this chapter and the chapters to come for the year. Okay, let's go ahead and do an example. So I have here example 1. Again, for our notes, make sure you copy down everything that you see in the video, including the examples. The examples, you just need to write down the problem. So it says here -5 times -6. What is -5 times -6? I'm going to look to see if they have the same signs. Same. So I know that my answer is going to be a positive. So my answer is going to be positive. And then now I just need to check my multiplication facts. 5 times 6 is 30. So my answer would be 30. Okay? All right, let's go ahead and try that next one. I have here two examples, A and B. This one says a positive times a negative. They're not the same signs, so they're different. So if they're different, I'm going to follow the different sign rule, which means that you're going to have a negative answer. A positive times a negative is going to be a negative. So my answer is going to be -12 because 3 times 4 is 12. See how I memorize my rules? That helps me to solve these problems. So make sure you start memorizing those rules that we copy in this slide. Right here. Okay? All right, let's continue on with example 2. I have negative times a positive. And I apologize if you can't see that's a multiplication, so let me just do that really quick. So a negative times a positive is also still going to be a negative. So now I need to go back to my multiplication facts and know what 7 times 4 is. 7 times 4, last I checked, was 28. So the answer is -28. So these are the two examples you've seen so far. Now I would like for you to try the on your own on a separate sheet of paper for homework. Again, notes is in your notebook. On your own is on a separate sheet of paper. So please do problems 1 through 6, and this is a multiplication. Let me just make it darker for you. That's a multiplication symbol. Okay? And that's a multiplication symbol. All right, if you need to pause this to take time to do these problems, go ahead and do so. Or if you need to look back on any of the examples, please do that as well. Okay, moving on to example 3. Example 3 is now talking about exponents. As a reminder, these are exponents. So what we're going to do is we're going to solve these problems. Now, if you notice for example 3a, we have the -2 in the parentheses. So anytime you have a -2 in the parentheses, that means you have to use the parentheses. And since it's the second power, we're going to write it as this. -2 times, with the parentheses, -2. So now I'm going to use my rules that we studied in this lesson. A negative times a negative, same, will be a positive. So the answer is going to be positive 4, because 2 times 2 is 4. Okay, let's look at the next example. This time we don't have a parentheses around the -5, so we're not going to use the parentheses like we did here. So this one's kind of tricky. A lot of students, and one of the common errors students do is they'll say that this is -5 times -5, because they see -5 to the power 2, but it's actually written as 5 times 5, times 5, and then this negative is actually on the outside. So you don't see the parentheses on the 5, so it's actually on the outside of the 5. So we're going to do 5 times 5 is 25, and since there's a negative outside, we'll put the negative. So don't forget, if there's no parentheses, we're going to solve the number itself with the exponent, then add the negative, attach it in the end. Okay? All right. Now for this last one, example 3c, we have here the parentheses again. So again, just like example A, we're going to go ahead and write the -4 in parentheses. How many times? If you said 3, you are correct. Since there's 3 here, the exponent represents 3 times. So we're going to do -4 times -4. And then what we're going to do now, though, is we're going to solve them 2 at a time. So we're going to say, what's a negative times a negative? Same. Well, negative times a negative is a positive. And then 4 times 4 is 16. So I have a positive 16. Then I have to bring this down. Don't forget, you can't solve 3 numbers at a time, so we do them 2 at a time. Now we have a positive times a negative. Different. If we have a different signs, we'll say that our answer is negative. And then I need to know what 16 times 4. If you don't know what 16 times 4 is, you can always do it on the side. But I happen to know it, so it's going to be 64. So your answer is 64. Again, if this particular example didn't make sense to you or I went too fast, feel free to slow down and watch it again. Okay? All right, moving on to our on your own. Continue on from the same paper that you did problems 1 through 8 on. And if you can complete number 9, 10, 11, and 12. And don't forget, if there are parentheses, use them. If they're not parentheses, don't forget the negative goes on the outside. Okay, so don't forget. All right, last and final example of the video. So we're talking about here taxes. So it says here, the bar graph shows the number of taxes a company has in service. The number of taxes decreases by the same amount each year. So you notice there's 0, 1, 2, 3, 4 years. Each year, it decreases the same amount. And so it seems like they're decreasing. Looking at the key here, it says 50 fewer taxes every year. 50. So each time the bar goes down, 50, 50, 50. So that's really important to see. And it says here, find the total change in the number of taxes. So what we're going to do is we're going to see how much is it changing per year. And we want to figure out for 4 years. So since the change is 50 each time, and we have, -50, okay, because it's going down, 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 down. And we have 4 years to count. We're going to take -50 and we're going to multiply it by 4. Again, using our integer rules that we learned today, we're going to look at the signs. This one's a negative, this one's a positive. Different signs means you'll have a negative answer. And then you'll do 50 times 4, which is going to be -200. So the total change in the 4 years from 0 to 1 is a difference of 200 fewer taxes. Did that make sense? If it didn't make sense, go ahead and press pause and replay it again. Okay? All right, using the same idea from this story problem, if you can solve this story problem on your own, on the same paper that you were doing your homework on, again, notes will be on notes, homework on your own is on a separate sheet of paper. Okay? All right, one more thing you have to do for me is the exit ticket on your homework paper, please. There are 2 questions that I would like you to read and solve. Don't forget, I will be checking these on your homework paper as well, so make sure to always include the exit ticket. All right, and a final note for you to check to see if you have everything for tomorrow. Make sure you complete your video notes. Make sure you do your on your own on a separate sheet of paper, and to include the exit ticket in on your own. Okay, I will talk to you boys and girls tomorrow.